Hello and welcome to Ghosthunter episode 9, the first boss of the game. With me this time is Mateo360. Say hello, Mateo.
Hello, I'm not afraid of any ghost.
Well, this whole thing is riffing on Ghostbusters, so that was fairly appropriate.
Hurry up!
I brought him up to speed on the plot so that we don't have to re-explain stuff we've already basically mentioned in old videos. So let's just begin by saying I quite like the atmosphere of this area because of moments like this, where you're following her for the most part, then the alligator shows up and is just like, nope!
See, that's why you have to crawl on the board so Killer Croc doesn't attack you.
Yeah, that's one thing I like about this game is the way it foreshadows its bosses. You kind of see them beforehand and they feel pretty good to fight because of that, because you fight them differently to most enemies in most situations. So it's not just shoot a million guns at them until they die like most games do, it's find the gimmick and exploit it. Yeah, this is pretty much one of the only times he ever does that little trick with his gun, but it's a neat little, like, thing. It's not even a mechanic, but yeah.
How convenient that that was there.
Yep, and that it was somehow strong enough to support his gun, but there we go. I mean, it's already falling apart, it's a cable, for fuck's sake. So yeah, the first boss of this game is Old Croc. In this video I kind of make a little bit of a mistake here, and normally what I do with this guy is I bring out the shotgun pretty much immediately, and it pretty much kills him really quickly, but at least this way you get to see what he actually does as a fight. I quite like the look of the Old Croc without all the spears coming out of him, that kind of thing, from previous people that have tried to kill him and failed. That's pretty neat. I like to think that he's a ghost because when he ate David de Montfort, he probably choked to death on him.
For a second I thought he had just swallowed you whole.
No, this is just the way you clip through him, so it's fine.
Yeah.
He can't swallow you because his own skull gets in the way. But yeah, this is why I normally use a shotgun, so that doesn't keep bothering me. But as the first boss, this guy tends to be fairly easy. We've almost seen everything he can do. I like the music though in this game, the way it builds layers upon layers as the level goes on, if you know what I mean. Like, you heard start with the bass line, and now we're getting extra things. And here's one thing I love about the enemy design in this game, is this.
The hell?
Yeah, you know how I mentioned that Old Croc choked to death on David de Montfort? Meet the man of the hour himself, the real boss of this level, the joined phantom of David de Montfort and Old Croc. Stuck in a constant war between themselves, essentially. I just love the way they're fused at the crocodile's throat, that's awesome. This is the kind of thing, the reason I love this game is because of these boss designs. That is awesome. What do you think about that, Mateo?
I'm still reeling from it.
Yeah. And the cool thing is, for the way he moves, it actually builds the world as well, because what we need to do is we need to get him basically to hit these three houses to destroy the portraits to damage him, because he's too big for guns to affect, basically. He's a big pile of muscle and an alligator. Like that. And something like here, look at the world building there. The Croc struggles and he punches it. They're working together, but it's not by choice. They're still mortal enemies. They basically killed each other and have been constantly warring at them between themselves ever since. I just love the way it kind of does that kind of world building with, like, you're fighting two guys at once, but they are not, like, unseen in smoke. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised the Croc is really putting up with all this.
Well, now the third house is dead, we'll see. What did you say about the crocodile putting up with this? He's really not. They have been fighting each other for years, non-stop. Him constantly bursting out and then constantly being eaten back up again. That is so cool. I love the way it transitions between the two forms like that. It's just really cool storytelling as well, really. And here we're approaching phase 2 of the fight, now that we're done with that.
For a second I thought it was going to be an on-rail shooter.
Unfortunately, no, it's not going to do a Resident Evil 4 thing. Yeah, that's rudimentary platforming in this game. It's basically you see the button, you push it, and you do a thing.
Boing,
This is actually
boing.
back at the beginning of the level as well. This is one of the first areas in the level, the primary kind of part of the graveyard, which has a statue that I find fairly interesting, which we'll be seeing in a few moments when we go to this door here. That statue there is actually depicting the fight between old Croc and David de Montfort before David was eaten by him. We'll see it a bit more clearly later. But as you can tell, we're not quite safe here, so let's run, because we have a trick up our sleeve. You saw how much damage Wood did to him. I love the way you can get a better look at the statue here as well, slightly. Like, you can tell that David didn't always look like that. That's just his ghost form. But now that he's hit stone, things aren't going to go well for him.
How do you even tell what his health is at this point?
That's kind of the way this works. It's not really it's kind of a Nintendo boss. We do something to him 3 times, and then we can just capture him. And this is what we do.
It's now in 2 forms.
We lure old Croc over to him. Remember, they're not friends. They are mortal enemies who have been fighting for ages now. So if they even see each other, they immediately get back at it. That's how we defeat this boss. We make them basically weaken each other. And that's pretty great. Yeah, while this game's writing overall is kind of weak, characterization is where it really shines, because that is really well done world building there. But also, like, you can get an idea of just how strong they both are as well, with like the weights of the sound effects as they're rolling around each other and things like that. They feel heavy. It feels like a very Clash of the Titans kind of a fight, with you just kind of caught in the middle, trying desperately not to get eaten by one of the 2 of them.
Yeah.
I don't like that neither of them really give a shit that you're there. Yeah. But that's the 3rd time, so now what we need to do is actually capture them. And as we don't even need to damage them anymore, because all the damage is going to get, so we just kind of immediately get them. So after capturing David, there's a few cutscenes, so we will continue this after these cutscenes are over.
Well, I take my hat off to you, boy. You did it. Never thought I'd see our precious girl again.
She's a brave girl.
De Montfort?
Won't be troubling you anymore.
Well, good riddance. Now, Slicker, that our little misunderstanding upriver. Hope you're happy to leave bygones as bygones and shake hands in it.
I'm afraid it's my job to arrest every single one of you. But who's gonna believe the police report? So, I guess that leaves you in the clear. There is one thing, though. Time to go.
Good luck, boy. I hope you find the professor. Scrawny little city boy with hands like a messy. Look who's on the floor. You ain't no son of mine, Junior. You sure ain't no son of mine.
I cut out this loading screen, by the way.
Officer Jones, welcome back.
Hi. My partner?
Your partner?
Yeah, the one you said was through that gateway, remember?
Ah, yes. Still within school boundaries, actually.
What?
Has been all along. A necessary subterfuge on my part, I'm afraid.
You mean I just waded through half a mile of shit for nothing?
2.5 miles to be precise, but certainly not for nothing. You have captured some excellent specimens, not least your final quarry, the Swamp Phantom, a momentous source of energy, has enhanced my functioning substantially. Note that each destination will have one such formidable creature at its heart, each of them unleashed by yourself, Officer Jones.
This professor sure did program you to nag, didn't he? I mean, he could have taught you to smile or sing country and western, but oh no. No, just to nag on and on about one single mistake a man made.
Your success has allowed me to generate additional weaponry for your use. Take these.
Gimme those.
As for knowledge, you have gathered certain pages of the professor's diary. The remainder of those memoirs contain the full answers you are seeking. internal memory now sufficiently restored to access further knowledge of astral. Human form. Name, Kate Heller. Occupation, assistant to the professor. She played a critical role in his success.
And she's still alive. Sort of.
Affirmative.
You know where?
Negative.
Well, anyway, let's get going. Where's Steele?
In the new school building. You should now have sufficient firepower to enter.
You're sure she's in there?
Affirmative.
No more necessary subterfuges.
That I guarantee. Of course, such a guarantee could in itself represent a necessary subterfuge, and therefore represent little in the way of guarantee.
That's why I like the writing in this game. That's just... he just constantly trolls you and it's amazing.
I do love that the guy is voiced by Rob Paulson.
Yeah. That's why the first called Dumbledore versus Wacko Warner. Yeah, this is just me showing off the bestiary, because actually a few of the enemies here get new information in this. For example, clarification that Swamp Phantom is in fact Daniel de Montfort. And you can also bother them with Steam, which is just fun. And also, it also clarifies what happened with Lady de Montfort and her children. This is the only place it says that she shot herself. Nowhere else in the game it actually mentions that. That's how I know that. That's why I'm showing off the bestiary, because it shows these little bits of plot that the game doesn't make explicitly clear unless you actually read them. Also here, these enemies aren't named until just now, they're just random children in her mansion. It's only now we actually learn they're the sons and daughters of Oakville that she's been murdering for years.
Don't taunt the children of the corn.
Yeah, they have a really weird attack, the Sons of Oakville, because they essentially spin at you in a massive hurricane of death. It's weird. These are awesome. The Daughters of Oakville are little girls with teddy bears. And what they do is they basically, when they see you, they pour themselves into their teddy bear, who grows to an 8-foot monstrosity, and then he beats you with the little girl's body. It's the best. Those teddy bears are one of my favourite enemy types in this game, because that's a really cool idea, a teddy bear that's beating you with the girl it's protecting. Because also the girls do it intentionally as well, because they're just like, they actually have a voice clip which is like, we don't want to play, Teddy will punish!
Get him, Mr. Bubbles.
Pretty much, yeah, it's pretty much that same kind of a thing. Yeah, that's kind of finicky with the clambering, but we're just going through to the new school now. So what are you thinking of this game from what you've seen so far?
Is it bad right now? I think that I'm expecting Freddy Fazbear to pop out anywhere.
A little bit. I like the way that the cloth here, like, it doesn't really do anything, but it's a nice atmosphere building thing. It kind of evokes the old kind of sheet ghost kind of a thing, without actually having that as an enemy type in the game. If you know what I mean. Like, as clarification, they mentioned a character called Astral. She is kind of our primary puzzle solver. Essentially, when he released all the ghosts, one of them entered his own body and possessed him, which is how he can see ghosts himself. He has a kind of second sight that's given to him by Astral, or as the data logs call her, Kay. We've just learned that her actual name is Kate Hell, and she used to be an assistant to professors. And from the hillbillies in the swamp, we learned that she's not actually dead. She is just an astral projection herself. Her body's been lost somewhere. That's one of the primary things of this game is finding her body. But the thing we got from him was something that allows us to explore parts of the school we couldn't get to before. Only a few, like 3 rooms basically, and then the new school, but now we can use the grenade launcher to open these doors. It's a very weak grenade, but it's there.
You couldn't have just found a crowbar?
We have a crowbar! We got one in the graveyard to open that one door we came back through to fight the boss in second form. He just took it away from us when we used it.
Weak crowbar.
Yeah, but like, the grenades aren't very useful. I never use them really. It's a secondary function of the grenade launcher. The smoke grenades that we really want, but we can't do that yet, and we won't need it yet. But these are one of the more basic enemies, the blue spooks. I like the way they spawn when you see them spawn, because essentially you see this like normal ghostly girl kind of just like sitting in the corner in a stupor, and then suddenly something basically pulls open her mouth and crawls out of it. And that's a really cool kind of way for them to spawn in, where it's like, she basically turns inside out and forms that thing.
Sounds like something from Corpse Party.
Kind of, a little bit. I do like this is probably one of the more iconic tracks from the game. One of those things that if you've actually heard of the game at all, this is probably the track you've heard in relation to it. It seems to be one of the more common ones. And to be fair, you can kind of see why it's a pretty good track. The way it builds and everything on the bass line, and then the little like chimes and stuff. It does a really good job being kind of airy, while also keeping up the actiony nature of the game. Yeah.
Poor strings are trilling forever.
Yeah, but trills are good. So before we go through that door, we have one more thing we can check out in the main area. We're pretty much just tying up loose ends here, because you never know when there's ammo in these rooms. I mean, there isn't, but you know, you never know. And it's more just me showing off all the content, yeah. Well, this is like the main foyer of the school, of course. And now we are basically done with the grenade launcher for a very long time. Yeah, this is the spawning I mentioned, with them crawling out of the mouth and everything. That's pretty cool. As you can see, the aiming in this game is a little janky. Like, it's kind of weird. And it's actually worse if you press the L2 button, because that introduces an expert mode, which basically makes the cursor move independently of the camera. So you end up like Wiimote style pointing all over the screen, and it's just weird, and the camera suddenly moves really slowly, you don't know what the hell's going on. So I'm just like, just never touch L2. It's kind of like the button you just don't want to go near. It's like the nuclear football. Just be very careful around the L2 button, or your aiming will go completely to shit, and that's bad for some later game enemies. But here we are finally leaving the actual school, old school, to actually see the new school, which actually I think they do a pretty good job with it. It looks like a good modern building that's just half under construction and half partially destroyed because of the ghost stuff. Like, it's like a lot of like scaffolding and sheeting and stuff, but it's also a lot of broken windows. I kind of like the contrast there.
Yeah, the construction workers are probably going to be a little pissed when they show up in the morning.
Well, the school's been kind of abandoned for years. I don't think anyone's really coming by. Yeah, here we're just about to hit a checkpoint and finish the video from here. So we'll see you next time for the new school when we see what that has to offer.